Chris Jones from the Times Online, and RugbyPass out of London joins us. Chris loves his rugby, loves his tennis. We actually caught up with him at the Rugby World Cup last year, which was cool. But Chris, always lovely to have you on the show. Welcome back.
Good to be with you, mate. Lots happening over here. I know you've got all the rugby. We've got all the tennis.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, it's a great time of year. I mean, I know you guys had your Six Nations at the start of the year, but for us Southern Hemisphere rugby fans, we sort of, only care about ourselves, and we act like that rugby properly starts now, of course. But 3 brilliant rugby series actually to look forward to that are getting underway this weekend. But we'll start off with the tennis because, I got to admit, I really, like every single tennis fan, casual or diehard, when I saw Novak go down with that knee injury, needing surgery at the start of last month after the Roland Garros, I thought, no, he's done. He's not going to Wimbledon. He can't do it. But he's turning up. He's had knee surgery and he's going to be competing. He's got his first game on Wednesday morning New Zealand time. This is quite incredible.
It is, and typical of Novak, because nothing's ever simple with him, is he came in to tell us about the injury, and basically what he said over about 800 words was, yes, the knee's fine, I can play in my match. But we had to go through our name checking of various sports, various sportsmen and women who'd come through similar operations, including Taylor Fritz, who'd taken an awful lot of advice from. Eventually, we got to the final paragraph, which said, yes, I will be competing, in which everybody said, couldn't you have said that at the beginning, Novak? But, there's got to be drama. When you're his age and when you're still trying to win Grand Slams, and everybody knows that if he turns up on the starting line, he's not there to make round 1 or 2. He's there to get through to the final. So it's great news he's there, because obviously we've lost Roger, we lost Rafa. Andy is playing his final Wimbledon. He's getting a sort of centre court farewell if he doesn't make it through the first round. So you can understand why Novak wants to be there, because the young generation of Alcaraz and Sinner want to take over the game at the very top. And Novak's saying, well, even with a dodgy knee, mate, look out.
He's trying to keep up with the kids. It's funny because it feels like a year or two now, at least, that I've just been saying, okay, when's the drop-off going to happen? Oh, okay, it's not happening yet, and then he might not win a tournament, and he might have an injury, and then he still sort of comes through and wins something. It feels like, and I could be wrong, but it feels like with how he was beaten in Australia, what went on in France, and then not exactly the injury concerns, but, I would doubt that he's fully 100% heading into this tournament. As you say, he wouldn't go into it if he didn't think he could win it, or at least make an impact, but I can't imagine he's fully 100%. What sort of Novak can we expect?
Well, what you're going to expect is someone who will come on court exuding that confidence, that strut that he has when he wants you to believe that he is still the same fantastic player, who's trying to be the greatest of all time by getting a 25th, And nothing is driving him more than that idea that he could be the one, having had to sort of be compared to Rafa and Roger for so many years. The idea that just on pure number of Grand Slam wins, he could stand atop the hill and look down on everybody else, that is what's driving him on. And the fact is, he's been able to do that because he's had the most remarkable body. He is the elastic man. He can slide on grass. He can slide on hard courts. You're not meant to be able to do that. But that's because he's had a body that hasn't broken down before. Now we are seeing, with this knee injury and with other injuries, that like everybody else at his age, as you head towards 40, bits start falling off.
Has he been doing much training? Have we been able to see his condition much in the lead-up to Wimbledon?
Yeah, he's got a big sort of knee support on, but he's been playing sets, and he's been happy with the way that his movement's gone, a bit like Murray. He's been also on the practice courts here at Wimbledon. He has been putting his body through what he's trying to replicate in a match. Of course, it can't be exactly that because you haven't got the crowd making you do things you probably wouldn't do with any sense in your head, but you're driven on by the excitement that you're generating from what will be a full house. And so he thinks he can get on the court, a bit like Murray does, and compete. But where Murray is aiming to compete, i.e. maybe last 3 sets before his back decides that it really was a bad idea and he should have stuck to just doubles at this last Wimbledon. For Djokovic, he wants to be in the mix. And, it'll be a massive blow to his ego if that knee does actually blow up and he doesn't get deep into the tournament. But, he's got fantastic guys around him. He's taken all the medical advice you can think. And having cried wolf so often at the US Open, where he's appeared to be out on his legs and comes through and the crowd have booed him, this time he is actually battling a real injury. It's just a question that some people have raised of what was the extent of the surgery, because what he's trying to do is pretty remarkable.
I'm just speculating here, Chris, and I think I know what you're going to say, but Novak doesn't strike me as the kind of person who would walk away happily knowing, okay, things are done, my body's giving way, I'm getting a bit older, I should hand the baton to the younger kids. I could imagine he could do sort of what Peyton Manning did in the NFL or Tom Brady, where they really extend their retirement and they play probably a little bit beyond what they're able to do. And could you see him doing that? And if so, it could be something quite dangerous where maybe it would actually even sour the way that fans would look at him if the last maybe 3-4 Grand Slams he played, he was just a shell of what he used to be.
Yeah, well, this has been the big question, hasn't it? When do Federer, Nadal, Djokovic and Murray decide it's the right time? And, those who've gone before always tell them that, you're a long time retired and maybe you don't get the send-off you want. And I remember Pete Sampras's last match at Wimbledon wasn't a fantastic final. It was beaten in the first round by George Bastel of Switzerland. Yeah, and he didn't get the farewell at Wimbledon that his record demanded. And so we have now a situation where Rafa's changing his mind. Was Roland Garros' final one? Well, now it looks like it won't be. And he's taking great heart from the fact that the Olympics tournament will be on clay at Roland Garros, so therefore he's going back to his home, chance for gold medal. Novak would dearly love that singles gold medal. It's what eluded Roger Federer, and it's the one thing that Federer will always mention that he wished he'd always had in his career, which is a gold medal in singles. He managed one in doubles with Stan Wawrinka, but not in the singles. And so these guys, they want to be winning things. And, when they lose that desire, then call it a day. But at the moment, everybody's, I've mentioned, except for Roger, who's made that decision to cut and run after a brilliant career, the other three, just like a dog with a bone, they won't let it go.
Chris, let's turn our attention to some rugby, and for the All Blacks, it's obviously exciting for the fans and for the team and for anyone involved with rugby in this country because the test season's starting up. It's actually really crept up on me. I thought it was still another 2 weeks away, and then all of a sudden I checked the schedule and damn, it's this weekend. But in terms of the England side, obviously, we love to sort of bang on about the All Blacks, and when we're stuck inside our own four walls here in New Zealand, we sort of forget about the opposition. Tell me about this English side, because ever since Steve Borthwick took over, I know that they've been rather boring, which is not bad. All that matters is that they win. Can we expect anything exciting out of this team, or is this English rugby side going to turn up with the same sort of, reliable, quiet form of rugby, if you will?
Well, what they have got is a strong scrum, a very athletic back five, and a back division based on Northampton, who were incredibly exciting to watch when they went all the way to win the Premiership final. And, Borthwick is trying to marry together those elements of being typically English up front, which is we're going to scrum hard, we're going to cause you problems at the line, our ball will be secure, we're going to be very competitive at the breakdown, and in Sam Underhill they've got a player who has reached the sort of level that he was playing at, back in 19 at the World Cup. He is really, really difficult to get off the ball. Allied to Ben Earl, and whether Chandler Cunningham also gets a start again at 6. This is a very physical England pack, which is what the basics should be. You shouldn't ever go on the field without a competitive England pack because you've got so many forwards to pick from. What they are trying to then decide is whether Mitchell of Northampton at 9 and Harlequin's Marcus Smith are the right combination.